Thank you, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Hens Sports Night, Season 4, Episode 5. I'm Victoria Delano alongside Matt Pollard, and we are here with some quick updates in sports. On Monday, April 15th, the WNBA draft has happened. To no surprise, Caitlin Clark was selected the #1 overall pick by the Indiana Fever. Some other notable picks throughout the night were the Los Angeles Sparks selecting Cameron Brink, and the Chicago Sky selecting the absolute beast Camila Cardozo and Angel Reese. The regular season will tip off May 14th and is probably the most anticipated season ever. Let's see if some of these very talented rookies can help their team take out the loaded Las Vegas Aces.
The NBA playoffs are now underway, and they have certainly been interesting so far. Starting with the East, the Celtics, Knicks, and Cavs all have 2-0 leads, while the Bucks and Pacers are tied 1-1. The Celtics seem to be too overpowered for the Heat, who lost Jimmy Butler in the play-in round against the Sixers. And speaking of the Sixers, they lost 2 heartbreakers in New York where they could have easily each won both of them, had it not been for a few key botches by the refs and an inability to grab rebounds. The Cavs are making easy work of the young and inexperienced Magic team, and the Bucks are battling without Giannis Antetokounmpo, who will hopefully return soon from his calf strain. Moving over to the West, the Nuggets are up 2-0, both of which were close games in Denver. The Suns, Timberwolves, and Mavs Clippers are both tied at 1 apiece, and the Pelicans and Thunder will play their second game tonight after a thrilling Game 1 win by OKC.
Our own Delaware softball team is on a 4-game win streak with a record of 35-9. University of Delaware's Morgan Hess was named CAA Pitcher of the Week on April 22nd, 2024. Good luck to the team while they take on Towson this Friday, April 26th away. Now on to our Delaware baseball team. They have been on a rough start where they stand at 20-19. The game this week is Friday as well at Towson. Good luck, Blue Hens.
The 2024 Masters Tournament came and went, with Scotty Scheffler ultimately taking the green jacket by a score of -11, which was 4 strokes ahead of the next person. Father Time may be officially catching up to Tiger Woods, who was able to qualify for the tournament, but did not even come close to the top of the leaderboard this year. Injuries and age have played both a big role in the GOAT's decline in his play since his Cinderella run to win the tournament back in 2019. With his Masters win this year, though, Scotty Scheffler now has a second green jacket and will look to keep things going in the PGA tournament.
Our UD men's lacrosse team is on a 5-game winning streak with a record of 8-3. They're currently ranked 30th in the NCAA ranking, and their next game is this Friday, home at 7. Our women's lacrosse team stands at 9-6, and they are currently ranked 55 in the NCAA ranking. Their next game is this Saturday, home at 12 p.m. Good luck to both teams.
The MLB is now about a month into the season, and it has been interesting and unpredictable so far. When looking at the NL, the Dodgers, who are the favorites to win the World Series this year, have not opened as strong as some may have thought they would. Obviously, though, when you have people like Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts on your team, it's going to be hard to lose a lot of games no matter how bad you're playing. But as of now, they're only 3 games over 500. When looking at another strong team like the Braves, they have gotten off to a hot start, but they're going to have to compete without their best pitcher, Spencer Strider, who had season-ending surgery a few weeks ago. My Phillies recently had a 7-game winning streak, and hopefully they can keep things going, but a lot of that's going to come down to their bullpen, which always seems to have their issues every year.
A few cast members here at HSN are part of intramurals teams, and our softball, soccer, and volleyball team all played recently. Softball lost 8-3 and is standing at 1-1. Volleyball won 2-1, standing at 2-0, and soccer stands at 1-1. Now it's time to see some of our fellow HSN members working at UD Athletics.
Hey, it's Emily, and I work for Delaware Athletics as part of Hens All Access. At Delaware, we broadcast all of our sports ourselves through Flow Sports, which is the streaming platform for the CAA. Hens All Access is in charge of running these broadcasts, and today I worked softball, but we broadcast every other sport here as well. I've worked a lot of lacrosse and baseball games this semester so far. Today, softball was playing Hofstra as part of their weekend series, and the first thing that we typically do when we get there is we set up our 2 cameras. One's the game cam, which is the typical shot that we broadcast, and the other one is the roof cam, which is on top of the press box for specialty shots if we wanted a close-up of the pitcher or the person up to bat, and it also follows the ball once it is hit. During the game, we have different jobs such as director, instant replay, cameras, and graphics. Since today game cam is a stationary, we only needed 1 person working cameras, and the lack of space in the press box, the director also does replay. Today I was in charge of working graphics, and I used a computer to change the information that's on the score bug. The score bug is a little graphic at the bottom of the screen that tells you the score and other information about the game. I'm in charge of keeping track of runners on base, any runs scored, what inning it is, and this is all done through the computer, but balls and strikes are edited by the computer that's connected to the scoreboard. Then once the game's all over and we're no longer live, we can take down all the cameras, put all the equipment away, and then we're all good to go. Softball's always so much fun to work, and this game specifically, it was such a nice day, and the team ended up winning 1-0.
Hey, I'm Katie, and I'm an intern for the Sports Science and Analytics Department at UD. This past weekend, I got to intern at the spring game for the football team, where I tracked how long the quarterback had the ball in his hands before he made a pass. But usually I intern for the women's lacrosse team, and at those practices, I and the other interns that I work with track their players' high-intensity meters and the team's shot accuracy during game-like drills.
A really cool thing about working in sports is that there are so many things that we get to do beyond in sport night, or I just had an intramural supervisor meeting, and now I'm going to go work a softball game. For intramural sports / as a club supervisorship at a rugby game. So we've got some water, some ice, some water being filled up.
Delaware football. Today's the spring game, so I'm on my way to work it. Let's have a good time. I just made it to the stadium for the game. Whitney Athletic Center. Got the Big Bob over there. Let's have a good day at work. Our most important job is probably going to be wiping the balls down. Pretty good game. They tied it 30-30, offense versus defense. I wish I could have gotten more of the game itself, but I was working. I was giving the balls to the referees, working with the quarterbacks, making sure they have a ball to toss during timeouts. But it was a great spring season, and go Blue Hens.
Boys, guess what time it is? It's mock time. I'm Sam Mendelson, joined to you tonight by
Sam Cucuzella,
Ryan Furman.
And with the NFL draft starting tomorrow, we're just going to get right into it. So, I mean, everybody knows, but what is Chicago doing at number one?
They're picking Caleb Williams. Every mock draft in the world has him number one.
I mean, we can tell you the same thing. So this is when the draft starts, in my opinion. Washington Commanders at number 2. Sam, do you think they're going to select Jaden Daniels or Drake May?
This is a tough one. I feel like they're going to go with Daniels. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury's the offensive coordinator. He had a mobile quarterback in Kyler Murray. He had Mahomes in college. They want, like, a more athletic quarterback. Daniels is more of a runner than May. So I feel like they're going to go with Daniels. I don't know if I perfectly agree with it. I think May is a better quarterback prospect. But in terms of fit, I feel like they're going to go Daniels.
So personally, I have to agree with you. I mean, the sports books say the odds too, and it's pretty confirmed. They're gonna take Daniels tomorrow because he fits Cliff Kingsbury's system. Is it the right pick? No. So I look at this: Jaden Daniels versus Drake May. Jaden Daniels had Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, 2 top 15 picks in the NFL draft to work with, while Drake May had nothing. I understand that, like Drake May, he made a lot of turnover-worthy plays last year. But if you just compare them, Drake May, he's the prototypical size, prototypical arm, and he's 3 years younger. So personally, I just think he's better.
Jaden Daniels won a Heisman Trophy. You can't really ignore that. And I also feel like Drake May reminds me way too much of your guys' mistake for the Giants with Daniel Jones.
He reminds me nothing of Daniel Jones. His arm's way better.
Same team.
Well, I mean, speaking of Drake May, in this mock draft, we have the Patriots sticking at 3. There's a lot of rumors that they could be looking to trade down with Minnesota to jump up for Drake May or even the Giants. But here, we have them sticking and picking Drake. So let's go to pick 4. I mean, this is the Arizona Cardinals pick. So after the top 3 quarterbacks, this becomes the first pick of the draft. They have their choice at any player, not named the quarterback. Who do you think they take?
Marvin Harrison Jr. He was clearly the best wide receiver out of this class. He did wonders for OSU during his entire career. He's the right pick for the Cardinals.
I can't argue with it.
Especially after losing Hollywood Brown.
Also, Kyler Murray, his best year is when he had his best years were with DeAndre Hopkins. This is his wide receiver 1. I mean, solidified.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious. So now at pick 5, what do you think the Chargers do?
So I think the Chargers, I feel like they're a team that is trying to somewhat rebuild, but it's more of a retool. I feel like they're going to trade down. I feel like they're going to end up trading with the Vikings because the Vikings love J.J. McCarthy for some reason. Look, I don't get it. I mean, it's going to happen. I don't get it. I don't think he's a scrub, but like, I mean, there's like.
I'll tell you why NFL teams liked him. He made big plays when needed.
Yeah, but he's basically just Mac Jones 2.0.
That, so.
I hate the Mac Jones 2.0 comp because he has a much better arm than Mac Jones ever had. Mac Jones can't throw from angles he can or make plays. He's also pretty mobile. And I know a lot of people are like, look at Michael Penix, look at what Bo Nix did in college. He was a 2-year starter, J.J. McCarthy. He is 21 years old. Penix and Bo Nix are both 24. They will be, if they're drafted, they would be the 2nd and 3rd oldest quarterbacks of all time drafted, just saying.
But they're not going to be much
I don't
either.
know about
That's what I'm
I don't know.
So now let's go to my team, my New York Giants at number 6. I would be so happy if this pick comes true. Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU. I mean, I stand alone, but he is my wide receiver 1 in the class. I mean, to me, his athletic profile resembles those of Odell Beckham, Jamar Chase, and he's got the route running of Stephon Diggs. I mean, I know compared to him and Harrison, it's close, but he's more explosive, and I like explosive receivers, so I would take him.
I like Malik Neighbors a lot. I feel like he's a very good fit for the Giants, but he's just not Maserati Marv.
He's more explosive
No one
than Marv.
is.
Marv.
They're different wide receivers. They play different games.
Yes,
they play different
their
games.
styles are very, very different.
That doesn't mean he's better. That's
so
all
at
I gotta
number
say.
7, who do you have Tennessee taking?
I mean, this one's kind of obvious. I mean, Tennessee's been taking line for years because they're never able to develop it. Anyone they take Isaiah Wilson was awful. I think Skoronski's moving to the interior.
He
they got
played
to take
guard
Joe
last
Alt.
year.
Yeah, so he's moving inside, but they're taking Joe Alt. They're going to try and solidify an O-line. They don't have a King Henry anymore. Pollard needs a good O-line. That's the only reason he had success in Dallas.
I agree, definitely.
So they got to get Joe Alt, and they got to rebuild the offense somehow.
Can't argue he's the best tackle in the class. I mean, it's a pretty
Easily.
locked and loaded pick. And Atlanta at number 8, this is when I think
Also
the
locked.
first defensive player in the board comes off. I think they're going to take Dallas Turner, edge out of Alabama. To me, his game's very similar to Brian Burns. He might not be the most bendy edge player, but he's fast.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Alabama defense. Their success throughout the years, they got a lot of first-round talent this year.
Last year, Will Anderson.
Humphrey, right?
Speaking of first-round talent this year, they also got a cornerback, Terrion Arnold, who your Eagles might actually trade up for.
I think they're going to take Terrion Arnold if they trade up. If not, either Kool-Aid McKinstry.
But let's get back on track.
Yeah.
At number 8, who do you have the Bears taking? I mean, Rome Odunze is still on the board. Brock Bowers is still on the board. Any offensive tackle other than Olt's still on the board. So who do you got him going?
I mean, they got to take Odunze. I mean, he's like the perfect fit. They have 2 great receivers in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, but Allen is, I think, on his last year of his deal, and he's getting up there. Moore, I think, signed an extension
Moore's
recently.
still under contract.
Yeah, he's still under contract. But they're going to need like a new wide receiver to pair with Caleb. And they don't really have that many weaknesses, and the draft doesn't really have a defense. So they could get.
I was going to say, they do have a lot of weaknesses, but when you have a chance to build around your quarterback, you don't want to create another Justin Fields situation. You got to. And at pick 10, the rumblings in the Jets building have been that this team, they want Brock Bowers. If he's there, Joe Douglas is running up and turning that card in 30 seconds. So I'm
Yeah,
going to say
idea.
that.
Yeah, I agree with Brock Bowers. He's clearly the best tight end in the class, probably the best tight end to come out in a very long time. But
Do you need tackle, though? Because you got to protect Rodgers.
I mean, yeah, very true. But Garrett Wilson can't be the only one catching the football for Rodgers.
Mike Williams, they got Xavier Gibson.
Mike Williams is the most streaky wide receiver ever.
Well, that's it for us. Let's go to Tyler Smith and his hockey playoff predictions.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Hockey Takes. I'm your host Tyler Smith. Today we're going to be talking about the best playoffs in pro sports. And no, this is not hot takes. Let me introduce you to the NHL playoffs. Starting off in the West, we're going to have Dallas versus Vegas. Obviously Vegas is the defending champs. This is going to be a tough series regardless. Vegas has a lot of players like Mark Stone, Anthony Mantha, Thomas Hertl. Coming off the LTIR, I'm just not sure if they're going to blend in with their new lines as quick as they may hope. Obviously, Jake Ottinger for the Dallas Stars as their goalie has not exactly been as advertised, but I expect him to pick that up pretty quickly. I think it's going to be a close series, but I'm taking Dallas in 7. Moving on over to the Winnipeg Jets with the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche have a deep defensive core. They won in 2022, but this Jets offense is just lights out. I mean, their whiteout home playoff atmosphere has been electric. I mean, the whole thing is white. The place is loud. They're feed off that energy. I think the Jets are just going to beat this Colorado team in 7. Moving over on to the next series, obviously this is going to be a tight series. I've tossed and turned between it a few times. The Vancouver Canucks are without their starting goalie. Casey DeSmith is their backup. He's been serviceable, but it's not what Thatcher Demko has been this whole year. With that being said, I'm still going to take the Canucks, but it's going to be a closer series than initially I anticipated. The Nashville Predators are hot at the right time, and they have Barry Trotz as the GM. As we know with the New York Islanders, Barry Trotz has a lot of influence in the playoffs, and he can get the most out of these players that are not expected to be high-caliber offensive players. Moving on down to the Edmonton Oilers versus LA Kings, a familiar matchup for these two teams, but to be honest, I don't think LA stands much of a chance. I think this Edmonton Oilers offense is lights out. I mean, they have the two best players in the league in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Connor McDavid alone in his first game got 5 assists. This goalie on the LA Kings, Cam Talbot, I just don't know if he can handle that lights-out offense. And with a bunch of guys like Pierre-Luc Dubois not really, fitting into what this LA Kings team needs, I think Edmonton takes it. Moving on over to the East, we have the Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning with the Battle of Florida. This Tampa Bay Lightning team has played a lot of playoff hockey lately, and as we saw the Pittsburgh Penguins a few years ago, this can get a team tired and a lot of injuries quick, and I think this Florida Panthers team is hungry. I think it's going to be a close battle, but I'm taking the Florida Panthers in 7. Moving on over to the Toronto Maple Leafs with the Boston Bruins, this Toronto team might just break the curse against their Boston Bruins rival. Obviously, with Austin Matthews scoring last game and heating up, this offense needs to be lights out if they want any chance of beating this dominant Bruins team. I think it's going to be a tough goalie battle to score on either Linus Ullmark or Jeremy Swayman, but I have the Leafs beating them. Moving on over to the Rangers and Capitals, honestly, I think it's a complete mismatch. This Washington Capitals team looks slow and sluggish. Alex Ovechkin is really catching up with Father Time. I think he'll have one good game where he really breaks out and really solidifies that, he will catch Gretzky, but I see the Rangers winning. Moving on over to the Carolina Hurricanes versus New York Islanders. My heart says New York Islanders, but the Carolina Hurricanes are just too good right now. With Game 2, that 3-0 deficit that the Hurricanes had and then come back to win, I think the Hurricanes are going to take it home. So moving back on over, we have the Dallas Stars versus the Winnipeg Jets. I think Dallas is going to go with an absolute gauntlet, but I think they're still going to win this series with Jake Ottinger versus Connor Hellebuyck. It's going to be a goalie battle, but I still have the Dallas Stars advancing. With the Vancouver Canucks and Edmonton Oilers, like I said, this Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman offense, I think they're going to light it up against their typical backup in Casey DeSmith. I don't think he's Thatcher Demko. I don't know if he has what it takes to bring them all the way. Moving back over to the West, this Florida Panthers team, like I said, is hungry. Matthew Tkachuk is going to be hitting and putting up points nonstop, and I don't think this Toronto Maple Leafs team is going to be prepared for that with their goalie Ilya Samsonov. The Rangers and Hurricanes are going to battle it out, but ultimately I have the Rangers taking it. I think the Hurricanes are going to be badly beaten by the New York Islanders with all these hits. So that brings us to our finals with the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, as you can see here, I have the Dallas Stars winning. Honestly, I think Jake Ottinger is going to come into this full goalie talent that we saw in his debut in the playoffs a few years ago. And unfortunately for the Florida Panthers, going to be going back to the finals, but ultimately falling just short. Personally, I think the Conn Smythe will go to Jason Robertson. That will really solidify him as a starter, as a top star in this league. And with a bunch of young guns emerging like Wyatt Johnson and Stankoven, I think this Dallas Stars depth offense is just going to be too much for the Florida Panthers to handle. And I think Florida is going to be a little tired and, really just hungry, but they're not going to get there. Overall, thank you for joining me this week with Hockey Takes. Let's kick it on over to UFC.
Thanks, Tyler. Well, my name's Tyler as well, joined here by Rocco and Isaiah. We got a segment on a sport for the first time that we've ever talked about here on HSN. It's UFC talk. It's a growing sport that's got so many people watching it right now, booming. Boys, we've had two of the most amazing cards of UFC history, 299, 300. Let's start off with 300. My first point is Alex Poatan Pereira, first round knockout, shocks the world, drops Jamal Hill. Question is for you guys, why is Jamal Hill not trying to wrestle? Why is he not trying to bring us to the ground?
Oh, I mean, maybe like each fighter has their own way of winning, and I don't see Jamal Hill as a grappler. He probably didn't grapple because he doesn't really know how. He just used to striking, but that's just what I think.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he just came into that fight looking super nervous.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he was ready to go against Pereira, which obviously it's a big mountain to climb if you want to beat Alex Pereira. But at the end of the day, if Pereira's footwork was as good as it was when he stepped on Jamal Hill's foot and then hit him with a clean left straight to the ground,
beautiful.
That was perfect. And then as soon as he hit the ground too, just straight pummel. He didn't know what to do. His guard got broken within seconds.
I think, too, thing people really aren't talking about too much is after the shot to the lower section that Herb Dean called the quick timeout, I think maybe Jamal Hill was waiting for that timeout to happen.
Yeah.
And then once Alex said, no, I don't want it, went in, I think he wasn't ready for that.
Hill needed that timeout.
Yeah.
I mean, Pereira obviously, come on.
Yeah, right.
He's on the ground, he's done.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful fight all around.
Speaking of viral moments from that night, the BMF title was up for grabs, and Max Holloway knocked out Justin Gaethje in one of the most spectacular knockouts we have seen in UFC history.
One BMF Holloway.
Totally. I'll say myself,
God.
I think that was maybe the worst I've ever seen Justin Gaethje fight.
Honestly.
I know he got poked in the eyes a couple times, unintentional, but Gaethje's beaten guys like Poirier, Chandler, Donald
And
Cerrone.
Poirier, might I say, Poirier when he was in his prime.
No, 100%.
That. The thing is, when you see Gaethje like this, where his guard is broken so easily, as soon as Holloway was meet me in the middle, Gaethje, his guard was just nothing. I know they were both throwing hands and trying to land,
bombs.
but Gaethje just stood there, his guard got broken, he was just swinging. It looked uncoordinated, did not look that well, and then Holloway just the cleanest, right to the chin. Gaethje done for 2 minutes on the ground.
Flat down. And the crazy thing is you got to think of it from this. The judges knew, everyone knew that Max was winning that fight. Up until the final round, Max was winning that fight. He said, screw it, I want this knockout bonus of $300,000.
With 1 second on the clock,
With 1 second on the clock.
Latest knockout of all time.
What's shocking to me is there's a chance he loses that fight. With Gaethje's power, when he points in the middle, he says, all right, I'm going to swing here. There's a chance I get knocked out. But he took that chance, and it worked out for him.
Easily, yeah.
A little bit earlier that night, later that night, the co-main, Yan versus Weili Zhang, the battle of the Chinese females, that was extremely intense. That was a battle. I'm very impressed by Yan. She didn't end up getting the win. Weili Zhang got the win, but she's an animal, and the fact that they went the distance, it was really impressive to me.
I mean, for sure, they both look good. The grappling that happened during that fight, it was some of the best grappling you've ever seen.
No,
they were on the ground for
male or
I think
female.
3 to 4 minutes of each round. They were just great wrestling, great grappling all around.
Yeah, both had really great stamina too. I really want to see Zhang Weili go for that flyweight title because I feel like once you have 3 or 4 clean defenses, you could definitely move up to a different weight and just claim a different title.
She has the skill, she has the motivation, and she's a sweetheart. You see in the interviews.
Yeah.
A little bit later, probably the last segment we're going to touch on. Oliveira in a shocking loss to Arman Tsarukyan.
So upsetting.
And this was shocking. I mean, Oliveira, we've seen this guy is one of the top fighters in the whole roster.
He's a dog.
Total dog.
Oliveira's a dog,
Most
and he
submissions
lost.
in UFC history.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down. Arman Tsarukyan is going to be a problem in the lightweight division. This guy,
After this win,
this guy can wrestle. This guy has knockout power, and he's technical.
he solidified himself for sure. All the technicality that he brought to the table and the power for sure. It looked like almost just a clash. He was toying with him a little bit, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the same thing with Sean O'Malley. He just put on a masterclass.
Yeah. If we had a little more time, touch on Sean O'Malley and UFC 299, which was another amazing show. But speaking of amazing show, we got more for you coming up right now. Thanks for watching.
49 News starts right now.
I'm Emma Schneider here with your entertainment news.
I'm Laura Daly here with this week's weather update. We could see the clouds are moving in to the area as the night progresses.
I went out to find out what students really think.
Let's see what students at the University of Delaware have to say.
Here's what you can do to keep yourself safe during this holiday season.
Sadly, that is all we have for you tonight on 49 News.
It's back. We're back.
Hens Sport Night, your University of Delaware sports broadcasting show.
That team from Boston. Just because they got a leprechaun don't mean they're going to be lucky.
How has your experience been playing field hockey here? How magical was the beginning of the season for you guys?
Who are you rooting for this World Cup?
Probably the USA or Scotland.
Watch the play. I don't think I've seen it though. Yeah, you can't guard them. That's not your body.
This is her first time in 10 years, so we're like kind of at the same level.
Welcome to Real Talk.
What is the best Halloween candy?
You had to play a song every time you came into the room. What song would it be?
This movie's bonkers. Let's get right into that.
Yeah. Do you guys like pickles?
No.
I love pickles. I'm so excited.
You see Kanye West as this icon, as this person, and he said some anti-Semitic things. So it's like, how do you deal with it?
There's nothing scarier than a student-run television show with an audience of 13.
Do you mean bi-weekly?
Don't they look stunning?
What? I don't want to hold you back.
Ow!
What now?
McKinley! Shut the hell up!
Let me just leave these babies here, Ricky, while I head on up to the saloon for the hour. I'm just gonna.
I've been your host, Lauren Kapp, and this is the Bi-Weekly Show.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James, and I'm with
Andrea.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're going to be talking a little bit about the New York Yankees. So last week, John Sterling announced his retirement. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts and maybe your favorite calls that you've ever heard from him.
Well, I think it's got to be the John Sterling 2 years ago calling Aaron Judge's 60-second home run. I'm in the car with my dad, hearing his voice, just truly immersing myself in the Yankee lore with his voice. It's just such a magical experience.
Mm-hmm. I think the crazy thing just about radio broadcasters in general is how they bring the game to life. You know, there's no video to go around it, but like you said, for generations, we've all just heard his voice, and you just associate that with the Yankees, and it's magical. You know, a few times at the stadium, I've got a sign saying, like, John Sterling, getting him to wave hi, or just, like, any call from That's Baseball Susan to all the home run calls with Burn Baby Burn, Gio Urshela, the most happy fella, Glaber Day, like things that you just say over and over again because it's just amazing. So very emotional watching that ceremony, watching the team present him with the large TV so that way he can watch the Yankee games the rest of the season. It was great to honor him. He definitely deserves it.
Okay, now let's probably move on to the most controversial news in sports. Monday, Aaron Boone got ejected for, I mean, I don't even know what to call it, for saying nothing.
You throw two, 3 pitches. Like, he didn't even blow his first piece of bubble gum, and he's already kicked out of the game. It's probably one of the most lethargic ejections in Aaron Boone's career. He's gotten thrown out for, the kicking the dirt with the umpire, the strikeout. It's just like, this is a very boring ejection. You expect more from Aaron Boone.
For sure, for sure.
Well, I think that he almost has a target on his back. He has been thrown out more than any other manager since going back to 2018 in the majors. So at this point, I think they're just waiting for him to say something. They're ready to throw him out if he starts chirping literally 5 pitches into the game. And it doesn't even have to be him at this point. They're trying to avoid the savages in the box situation and embarrassing themselves. And in the end, he ended up embarrassing himself more, did pretty bad that game in terms of calling, and then the Yankees lose it 2-0.
I mean,
Yeah, it's Aaron Boone. Like, you expect so much drama after a Aaron Judge bad pitch, low call. So yeah, it's a continuing cycle of Aaron Boone just finding something to complain about. It's funny.
But what do you think? Like, is that good for the team? Is it bad for the team? Is that hyping them up where it's like, yeah, it protects me and I'm going to do this for my manager? Or are you losing your leader when he gets thrown out 20 times in the year and you're...
It goes from energy of like, wow, this is my leader. He's really passionate about. He's a player. He understands the struggles that I understand as a player. So you could be taking it as great. Now he's out in the second inning. What, like, is he a child? But also you could take it as, he's a pretty cool dude for sticking up for me and my team. So I think he's a pretty good coach for them all around.
Okay, now let's focus on probably the biggest superstar in the state of New York, Aaron Judge. Off to a rough start to start the year. He's been getting booed lately. Do we think it's good, bad?
Well, I think, live right now, Aaron Judge hit his 261st home run. Now he passed Derek Jeter for the most all time, or however he's ranked, and he's starting off slow. I think Juan Soto being there has really put a protective layer over Aaron Judge, so he's not being blamed as much. So I think it's something to look at. I mean, going back to last year with Aaron Judge's toe injury in Dodger Stadium, I think that really has a long-lasting impact on his career, potentially.
I mean, you're at Yankee Stadium. If you're not performing, you're going to get booed. I think bringing up Derek Jeter is a great point where he said that, too, in his documentary. He's been booed before, too. If you're not performing, that is what they honestly say they love about Yankee fans. Even Aaron Judge himself said, I'd boo myself too, because you go there expecting him to hit a home run. You don't go there expecting him to strike out 4 times in a game. That's when you're getting booed. Do I think that's necessarily fair of the fans to boo your captain? Probably not. I mean, in terms of players, you think of Joey Gallo being pushed out of the Yankees, or maybe even Giancarlo Stanton. You're kind of surprised at how he's been able to manage all this hate. But I think you take a lot of... It's very impressive and respectable, and I think that's what you want from your captain, that he can handle it, and he loves that about New York, he's there to win.
Yeah, and I think, too, going with everyone else, Juan Soto, Marcus Stroman, the bullpen pieces, everyone they've brought in, Alex Verdugo, everyone they've brought in this season has shown that they are worth the energy and the time to bring in and pay, and the energy is continuing through the wins, the team bonding you see online, social media. Like, the energy is really there. So I really think that all these pieces together have made this team a lot better. So Aaron Judge's struggles can be helped out with the rest of the team overall.
Even with the losses, though, there are some losses where you thought they were coming back in the ninth. That's what you want from a team. A team that can crawl back is going to be a team that might win it all, versus last year, a couple years in a row. It's like when they got down 2-0, as they always did in the first inning, it was over. Turn it off now. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, you guys started to touch on it there. I think these new pieces that the Yankees brought in, I think they're really going to help. I think they got to get some pieces back. Obviously, I think Cole, a really big piece to get back. Missing your ace for any team is just detrimental. But yeah, I mean, do you guys have anything you want to finish off with real quick?
I think it's going to be another successful year of Yankees baseball. I think they just have to figure out more bullpen pieces, more offensive pieces to pick up during the trade deadline. But overall, I think the energy is where they really want it to be. Probably the best they've had in like the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, hopefully for a good ending, maybe number 28. And
Fingers crossed.
DJ's another big piece.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's going to be all from us here tonight at HSN. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5. We'll see you guys next time for our hour-long finale, May 15th. Make sure to be there. Bye.